What if I told you there might be a secret blueprint, a hidden set of rules that could predict how to build the next wave of medicines? Not by luck, not by chance, but by pure design. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today, all based on a really fascinating new patent filing.
You know, right now, the pharmaceutical industry is essentially built on a multi-billion-dollar gamble. Bringing a new drug to market is one of the most expensive bets anyone can make. Companies just pour billions and billions of dollars into R&D, crossing their fingers for a breakthrough.
And a huge chunk of that cost, it boils down to this: a painstakingly slow, costly process of trial and error chemistry. We're talking about scientists mixing and testing countless combinations, just hoping to stumble upon that one stable, effective molecular structure that could become a new medicine. It's often more art than science, and frankly, it's wildly inefficient.
But imagine for a second, what if you could throw out all that guesswork? What if you had a predictive blueprint, a method that tells you exactly how molecules will come together before you even set foot in the lab? It feels like the rules of the entire game are on the verge of being completely rewritten.
So to really get a handle on just how massive this shift could be, we've got to understand the problem it's trying to solve. So let's start there, with the current state of play, what we're calling Pharma's billion-dollar gamble.
At its core, the issue is really a difference in philosophy. The old way is all about looking backwards. You run thousands of real-world experiments, what the patent calls empirical screens, and then you use these super expensive one-off computer models to try and figure out what just happened. This new path, it flips the whole script. It's all about prospective design, using a universal set of rules to predict the outcome from the get-go. It's really the difference between driving with your eyes glued to the rearview mirror versus navigating with a GPS.
And that right there brings us to the breakthrough itself. See, this isn't just a slightly better computer program. It's being presented as a whole new rulebook for molecules. It's about finally, maybe, understanding the fundamental language of how they choose to build themselves.
Okay, so the secret sauce seems to be this concept called dimensionless numbers. Now, I know that sounds pretty complex, but hang with me. Think of it like this. Engineers have this one rule, the Reynolds number, and it predicts how any fluid will flow. Doesn't matter if it's water, air, or honey. The rule just works. It's universal. This patent is proposing a similar set of universal principles, but for molecules, basically creating that GPS for chemists to design new drugs with.
And this just shows you how deep the framework goes. It's not just looking at one or two things. It creates these dimensionless numbers for all the key forces that tell a molecule what to do. Everything from how fast things are moving and how they fit together, all the way down to fundamental forces like hydrogen bonds and electrostatics. It's like having a complete, holistic view of what's happening at the smallest scales.
So, you have this new rulebook, but how does it actually work? How do you really transform drug discovery from random guesswork into predictable geometry?
Well, the method laid out in the patent is, on the surface, incredibly elegant. You start with the basic properties of your molecule and your solvent, stuff you already know. Then you plug them into this framework to calculate those powerful dimensionless numbers. From there, you just apply a set of simple decision rules that tell you which structure is going to win and, get this, exactly how to create the conditions to make sure it does. It's a clear, logical roadmap.
And here's the real kicker, the big payoff. The patent claims this method can deliver accuracy that's competitive with the current gold standard methods, but at a substantially lower cost. Now that is a combination that no industry on Earth can afford to just ignore.
Okay, predicting success is amazing. It's powerful. But in an industry where something like 90% of projects fail, being able to predict and, more importantly, avoid failure early on, that might be even more valuable.
And this is where something called the Motif Coherence Index, or MCI, comes in. Think of it as a stability score for your molecular structure. If a few key bonds are doing most of the work holding everything together, you get a high score. That means you have high coherence and a low risk of these nasty things called polymorphs. Those are unwanted structures that can pop up out of nowhere and completely kill a billion-dollar drug candidate, sometimes years into development. This tool promises to spot that risk right from day one.
So let's just recap. We have a tool that predicts success with high accuracy, at a lower cost, and helps you sidestep catastrophic failure. This is where we move from the science to the boardroom. This presents a massive, profound dilemma for the entire pharmaceutical industry. I mean, this is the classic innovator's dilemma, right? Will the huge, established companies, the ones who built their empires on the old model of massive, speculative R&D, be willing or even able to embrace a technology that could make their entire infrastructure obsolete?
And the follow-up question has to be terrifying for them. What happens when some small, nimble startup can suddenly use this predictive power to out-innovate a company 1,000 times its size and do it faster and cheaper? You're talking about completely leveling the playing field.
And then, of course, there's the pressure from Wall Street. How does a CEO justify these insane, decade-long R&D budgets to shareholders if they know a tool exists that could dramatically shorten timelines and cut costs? At a certain point, ignoring it stops being a strategic choice and starts looking like you're not doing your job.
But the shockwaves from a discovery this fundamental? Well, they wouldn't just stop at the pharmacy. The patent makes it really clear that this is about so much more than just making medicine.
I mean, think about it. This is potentially a new rulebook for how solid materials form, period. That could mean designing better materials for flexible phone screens, creating new components for batteries and energy, or engineering advanced materials with perfectly controlled properties. The applications cut right across the most innovative parts of our economy.
So we're left with this one last, really provocative thought. If a predictive, geometry-based approach can truly replace chance in chemistry, are we witnessing the beginning of the end for trial and error as we know it? And if we are, what does that new world of pure design even look like?